Hi, this is Jim again, and welcome back to our ongoing presentations about our class. In this presentation, I'm going to give you an overview of our signature choice assignments. As you can see in the syllabus on page 4 of the syllabi, you'll see that it says towards the bottom of the syllabus that each class in our grad program has what's called signature assignments. And what signature assignments are designed to do is grade or assess is the right language, your ability to meet the course student learning outcomes and the program student learning outcomes. So in this class, we'll have a choice, or you'll have a choice to complete one of two signature assignments for our class. And my goal here is to provide an overview of each of the two assignments, hopefully try to clarify the difference between the two. So let's go ahead and take a look at the two, choice 1 and choice 2. And I'm going to start with choice 1, which is on page 4. And choice 1 is titled the athletic training lesson presentation. Let me give you the big idea here. Actually, I'm going to give you the big idea with choice 1 and choice 2. And choice 2 is called the effective athletic training teaching and learning presentation. So in choice 1, you're going to pick a teaching method and teach a lesson. Well, you're going to develop a lesson. You're not going to actually teach a lesson. You're going to develop a lesson using a specific teaching method. There's all sorts of teaching methods out there. And then you'll develop a lesson plan and analyze its effectiveness of teaching that, using that methodology of teaching to teach that lesson. And we'll use one of the athletic training educational competencies content area. Okay, so that's the big idea of choice 1. In choice 2, again, that one is titled the effective athletic training teaching and learning response or presentation. In choice 2, you're actually pretending that you are presenting at a NATA conference. Here you're going to pick a specific athletic training teaching and learning topic. There's a whole bunch of them listed inside the syllabus. I don't know, about 20 of them. You'll pick that, and then you'll develop a presentation on the what, how, and the what, why, and how. And you'll also develop a lesson plan and analyze the effectiveness of that particular athletic training, teaching, and learning topic. All right, so let me now go in a little bit more detail. Okay, choice 1 is you're using a teaching method to develop a lesson. In choice 2, you're developing you're going to become an expert in a particular athletic training, teaching, and learning topic. So what's the difference between a teaching method and some of these topics? So let me go with the topic first. So in the syllabi, this is on page 6 of the syllabi. You'll see some of the topics I have listed there, and you'll see that I also have asterisks next to some of them. And so what the asterisk is saying is that those are more common in athletic training education. So for example, learning styles, learning over time, peer-assisted learning, those are some of the ones that are asterisked. So that is it's not a way that you teach, it's a concept for how you develop your curriculum overall that needs to run throughout the whole athletic training program, not just in a particular lesson. Whereas in the choice 1, you're going to use a specific teaching method. For example, the teaching method I'm using now is direct instruction or lecture to teach this particular lesson. That's the method that I'm using. There's all sorts of different specific methods. You actually have it one of the textbooks I was going to have you use has a bunch of methods, but I'm going to provide you a list of a bunch of methods that you can choose which method you want to use, and then you become the expert in that particular teaching method and learn hopefully how to use that specific method. Now what I don't want you to use is what I'm doing, is lecture. I want all different teaching methods other than lecture, because I think we all know what lecture looks like. There's a whole bunch of great different teaching methods out there. For both, you'll both methods, choices, doesn't matter which one, you're always going to go back to our athletic training educational competencies, which we'll talk about in week 2, what that document's about. But that's all the different things that we are supposed to learn and know and become proficient at, both in knowledge and our skills and our clinical proficiencies when we're finished with an athletic training program. And so, in regards to choice 1 or choice 2, you're going to pick one of the content areas, either in the knowledge and skills content, or one of the clinical proficiencies. And so I'm gonna discuss a little bit more on choice 1 right now. And so that particular lesson that you're going to develop can be either for a classroom, laboratory, or a clinical setting. That's true for the other one too. But you will develop a lesson, and we're going to use a lesson plan, which I'll talk about in the next slide. I'm going to actually go over how to develop a lesson plan later in the class. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use that specific teaching method, whatever one you pick, and then you're going to develop the lesson. You're not going to actually teach the lesson to actual students. What you're going to do in your presentation to the class is you're going to teach us about that particular teaching method. You're going to help us understand what is that teaching method about. And then you're going to analyze that particular method. So how you're going to analyze that particular method is that you're going to analyze the lesson's effectiveness in meeting the athletic training education competency content area, how the knowledge and skills and or clinical proficiency integration proficiencies are addressed, and how the classroom, laboratory, and our clinical settings are addressed. So that's what you want to analyze your that particular lesson that you develop. So what you're going to do is develop the lesson first, and then think about it. If you had to teach that, how effective would it be in those particular areas? Now for choice 2, again, now you're doing a presentation at an NETA conference, whereas choice 1 you're not. You're just we're doing some you can think about it doing it as a presentation, but at a conference. But conference presentations are a little bit different than what I'm trying to do with lesson 1, or excuse me, choice 1. So in choice 2, the effective athletic training, teaching, and learning presentation, you're going to pick that one topic, and then you're going to want to do a presentation on the what, why, and how. So what is the what? The what is, I want you to provide a very comprehensive description of that particular topic. What does the literature say about the topic? There's some of these topics have had a lot of literature already written about them. So what is it? You're going to tell us, you're going to teach us about this particular topic. There's been some of these areas, there's been research done in the athletic training education area. There's some is in athletic training, some is going to be in physical therapy, medical, and nursing education research. So you got to go down those paths too. Don't just limit yourself to athletic training research. You're going to have to broaden your scope to other areas, because we as athletic training educators have learned a lot of the things that we're doing in our programs because of what has been done and researched in other areas. And I want you to analyze what are some good things about this particular topic, and what are some difficult or negative aspects of this topic. Okay, so that's the what. The why is how and why has or has not this particular topic been used in our area in athletic training? What makes this topic difficult or easy to use as a classroom teacher or as a preceptor? So again, that's more analysis, what I want you to do. And the how is, how could you use this particular athletic training, teaching, and learning topic to teach a class? So this is where you would actually develop a lesson plan, just like you would do in Choice 1. You're going to pick one of the athletic training competencies and those things in which I've already talked about, and develop that lesson plan. And then in your presentation, you'll describe how you can use the topic to teach that particular lesson. And I'm going to provide you a lesson plan template, and I provide a lecture on developing that a little bit more. Now, you're in this presentation is posted in a forum, and so in the forum, what I want you to pick is you have to tell me now, are you going to do Choice 1 or Choice 2 with your signature assignment? Then, let's say that you're going to do Choice 2. You have to tell me what topic that you're going to do your presentation on, and this is first come, first serve. Not everybody's going to do learning styles. Once one person picks learning styles, that is off the table. I also want you, then if you are doing the Choice 1, I want you to pick your method, your teaching method, and post that in the forum. And so you'll have your teaching method if you're in Choice 1. If you're a Choice 2, you need to tell me what topic you're going to pick. The additional thing that you need to choose, and probably won't have you do this until week 2 because we won't go over the competencies until after week 2, is I'm going to want you to pick the educational competency and content area that you're going to cover. And I think we'll do that in week 2 after we go through our athletic training education program information. Okay? So that's what you're doing in week 1 is you're telling me Choice 1, Choice 2, the teaching method, and the topic. All right, let's talk about your lesson plan. And again, I'm going to have a lecture a little bit later in the class about actually how to develop a lesson plan. I have developed a template that I want you to use for this assignment, and I've provided detailed information on this lesson plan, what you should include in the introduction, how you will write a student learning outcome or outcomes for this particular lesson, how to develop the content, what's the conclusion and the assessment look like. So I'm not going to go into detail with that in this particular presentation. But what I would like you to do, and I'll remind you of this throughout the class, is when you turn in your presentation to me and to the class, this lesson should be a Word document, and so the students will have something to take away from the lecture or from your presentation. I've said this a few times, you're actually going to be doing a presentation. You're going to develop a 30 to 45 minute audio or video presentation. You can use all sorts of various tools that you want to use. More than likely, a lot of students just end up using an audio PowerPoint, and that's fine. Whatever. I have a list of a whole bunch of different types of online presentation tools that you can use inside the class. So if you want to expand, do something different, please do that. Again, I'm trying to give you the autonomy in your education. One thing you should do is when you are uploading your presentation in the forum, make sure it's hardwired. Do not try to upload that over Wi-Fi. You'll never get it to upload with Wi-Fi. You have to keep your presentation below 2 gigabytes, which is huge. It's a huge file. So if your presentation is fairly long, I'd say you're probably going to want to have, with a 30 or 45 minute presentation, several different parts of your presentation. If you can upload it to YouTube and then link the presentation. Okay, so you'll post your presentation in the forum, and you'll also include 2 to 4 open-ended questions in the forum. Again, open-ended questions are questions that cannot be answered with a yes and or no. They have to have some kind of response to them. And so then your responsibility is to facilitate that threaded discussion. That means that you post your questions, other students respond to it, you'll go back, read the responses, and have a dialogue during the time that we have our presentation or the threaded discussion, which at this point in the program you should know how to do. Then the threaded discussion is each student will listens to 2 other students' presentations. You're going to answer those posted questions. You know, each question answer should be about a paragraph in length, supported with research, with evidence, because we want to continue using evidence-based academics. And it's also your responsibility, once you do your initial post, the other student responds back to you, you respond back to them. We want to keep that thread going through the time that I have the forum open. And you'll see I have an end date that the thread will end. And so I really would like you to respond to the other 2 students earlier in the week versus like 10 minutes before the due time. But if you're not responding back and forth, your point value will probably be reduced, because I do expect that thread to continue during the time, because that's basically all you're going to be doing during that when we do these threaded discussions for this class. Is this assignment's at the last weeks of the class, as you'll see in the schedule. And some other stuff you'll see on, I'm looking, efforting, on page 8 of our syllabi. I have a list of acceptable types of references for you to use, or resources, and I've placed these in order that I expect you to use them, in order of preference. Top is peer-reviewed journal articles, like the Journal of Athletic Training Education Journal, Journal of Physical Education, blah blah blah, those type of things. That's always our best, because those are, and try to get the most current if you can. Textbooks, use the most current edition of the textbook. I see a lot of times that people reference Prentice and Arnheim, but it's like 7 or 8 years old. That information's outdated. You need to use the most current edition of the textbook, because textbooks, by the time they're printed, they're already outdated. It's sort of like when you buy your computer, it's already obsolete. So textbooks are good information, but just use the most current. We should be using our professional organization material from the NETA, and so I've listed there a bunch of different websites. Last on the list there, you'll see professional interviews with an expert in area. Again, that's last on area, and I can also say never use Wikipedia and never use blogs, because that's just all somebody's opinion. When you are doing your actual presentation, whatever format that you use, I do expect you to do this presentation as if you were at the NATA conference and doing a presentation. I want it to be professional. I expect it to be professional. You're going to be assessed on how it's going to be professional, on your professionalism. So I have that mindset that even though you're doing this wherever in front of your computer like I'm doing it right now, be professional, speak in using the correct grammar, cite your references in the presentation, both on the slide or whatever form you're going to use, and in the presentation. Jones and Smith in 2012 stated, and cite it. Just like you're writing a paper, in your presentation, you still have to cite your references. Just because you're talking about it doesn't mean you don't cite it. You still have to cite it in your presentation. One thing I forgot to put a bullet point here is the assessment of this particular assignment. I have provided rubrics for this, both for Choice 1 and Choice 2. So those are in our course documents, so you should look at the rubric to see what I'm going to assess you on, and hold me to that standard, but I'm holding you to that standard also. If you have questions about the assignment, please ask. This is a pretty detailed and involved assignment, so please ask for help if you have it. Use our Q&A form, because more than likely if you have questions, other students have the exact same questions on this assignment. If that still doesn't help, let's set up a time that we can talk on the phone about it. Whatever I can do to help you through this process. And don't wait till the last minute to do this assignment. Start working on it now. It's going to take quite a bit of work to do all this, to do the research, to become the expert in either the topic or the teaching method. So please start working on this now. Start getting resources. Start reading. Once you pick your topic and or your method, learn about those methods or that topic, and start becoming an expert in those areas. I hope to enjoy listening to your presentations, and I hope to learn something new myself.